What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. It's not hot, but it's very warm, comfortable, dry. This is perfect weather. This is feel-good weather. So, today I have ribeye here. Look at that. USDA Prime. Where's my... Two inches. That's 2 inches. 2 inches by 7. 2 inches by 7. 7 by almost 4. That is a good piece of steak. Look at that. Basic stuff, salt. I'll put salt for now and then I'll put the pepper later. If you put it now, it'll just burn. And I have leeks. So cut that up. And I have Taj Mahal Premium Lager beer from India. Get that. Really good beer. Drink responsibly. You know how it goes. Don't drink and drive. You know, responsibly. You enjoy it more. You don't want to not be able to find your room at night. So this is brewed in India from the finest malt and hops. We'll try it out now. Today is a perfect day to have a cold beer. Look at that. Very good. Very good. Nice. Cheers. That is really good beer. Really good beer. Good quality. All right. Have a cutting board. And we chop off about that much. I'm gonna go wash this and I'll be back in a flash. Flash. All right, I am back. I'm gonna cut that up, add a little bit of olive oil, California olive oil, extra virgin, and first harvest. Very important. Brand new. So we put some in the pan here. I could put more. Too much is never enough. Never enough. So wow. If you see this beer, grab it. Good stuff. Good quality. Taj Mahal. So we're gonna, if I should cut it in half this way first. This intensifies the flavor. Delicious. I think it's from the onion family. Anything that involves onions, garlic, makes things better. Just like tuba makes every song better. I've said this a million times, that the Beatles would have been even more successful if they had a fifth member who played tuba. For a tire there. Alright, let's turn the machine on. I'm gonna give it a minute. So, I've been watching Cobra Kai, and I was a huge fan, still am, of the first Karate Kid movie. Came out in 1984 summer. Big fan of that, and loved everything about that movie. Good story, good characters. Allie. Oh man, Allie, I had like a crush on Allie with an I. Kind of girl you wanted to meet back in high school, you know? That style. Put it in there, get it going. Yeah, she was very attractive. And still today, you know, good looking lady. I liked her, and I liked Thelma from Good Times. You know what? I need a stick. I'll be right back in a flash. All right, I am back. Got the stick here. It's getting there, slowly. So, we're talking about Karate Kid, the original, with Allie. Yeah, that was, you know, the character, the person they picked to play the role, Elizabeth Shue. She's one of those people, very attractive. I'm sure a lot of people in her high school had a crush on her, especially in those days. And like I said, she's still very good looking. And so I went and saw that movie when I was in my prime, and I enjoyed it. I remember it was a hot summer day. It was very muggy out, and I said, what to do today? It's very exhausting, very humid. So I ended up going to the movies. Saw the previews. You know, I was kind of into karate back then. The forms, right? So I remember going up to the bus stop. It was very muggy. I was dripping sweat, and there was a girl up there coming my way with her friend. I knew the girl. Her name was Suzanne. And I could say her last name because you'll never be able to locate her. Suzanne Brown. And so she knew me from school, and she bumped into me up there. She said, hi. And I said, hi. And then she said, hey, you wouldn't happen to have $1 in change for the bus? I said no, because I mentioned before that I would only bring enough money to cover whatever I thought I needed for the day. I never brought a penny more. And so I didn't have it on me, but I said to her, I could go get it. My house was not that far. But the bus was coming. And I ran speed of light. Speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. And I ran down the hill to my house. I went upstairs. I got out my secret container with the change. I grabbed, you know, a bunch of change, and I ran back up. And just as I'm getting there, the bus is coming. So I timed it perfectly. and I gave it to her, and she said thank you, and her and her friend sat in the back. I sat in the middle somewhere, and she got off at the mall. I kept going, and I got off at the theater. Last time I saw her. Not even anywhere by accident, you know, you bump into people accidentally. That was it. So, went and saw The Karate Kid. I remember opening up the doors and that nice cold cinema air came out at me, and I said, that's what I want. I went in there, and immediately that movie spoke to me. There's a handful of movies like that. That's one of them. First Blood, First Rocky, Deer Hunter. There's a bunch of movies, but there's not, I can't say there's hundreds. Close Encounters was like that when I first saw it. I was like, what is that? I gotta go. If they come, I'm going. So the season, first season comes of Cobra Kai. I was very excited. I go, they brought it back. This is awesome. And immediately I was grabbed. It's for kids, but because it's part of my past, I watched it, and then 2 came and 3 came, and I was like, wow, I thought it was just going to be one season, but apparently it was very popular. And then they made another one, just released, and we saw it, all of them, basically in a couple of days. And I don't know if they're going to go any further, but very, very satisfying. A lot of twists and turns in the plot. Kreese did not expect that plot that he was in. Did not expect that. I did not expect the Miyagi stuff. So I enjoyed it. And then I'm in the movie theater the other night, and I look, and there's a poster. It says Karate Kid Legends. So apparently, not apparently, I don't want to apparently like there's doubt, but there's another movie coming out, Karate Kid, and Jackie Chan, he's in it. Ralph Macchio, he's in it, and it's coming out, I think, in March 20th or May 20th. I think May 20th. But you can look it up on your local internet. So when that first movie came out, I had to see it multiple times. And I remember some guy was visiting, a young guy who was going to college here in the U.S., and he was visiting one time over my house. And I had just met him. And we started talking about movies, and I said, I saw Karate Kid. I forget how many times I said to him I saw it. I don't know, 4 times back then. I ended up seeing it more than that, but at that time I think I said 4, and he looked at me, he goes, 4? He goes, wow, I can't do that. He goes, I can see it one time and that's it. And I was like, oh really? I go, I could see a movie I like many times, but now that I'm older, I understand exactly what he meant. I don't want to see a movie twice now. I don't know when the last time that I saw a movie twice in recent years. None. Now I see it once and I go, good enough. Alright, I'm going to get a plate. These are done. Should have got a plate when I went in, but I didn't. Alright, I'll be back in a flash. Alright, I am back. So these are done. That's a side thing. I don't know who eats that as a main. Maybe there are people, I don't know. Leeks and bread. Okay, now let the oil heat up for a minute, and we will apply the steaks, or the steak. I guess you can make 2 out of this, but unnecessary. Helicopter. No, not a helicopter. helicopter, a propeller, little plane, little baby plane. Wow, look at that. That's a good size. Got the sizzle there. And so I'm very excited about this Legends, the Karate Kid Legends. I remember seeing that movie, and first of all, a couple of things spoke to me. Number one, cross-country trip in a car. Always wanted to do that back then. I had a friend of mine during the high school years. We would always talk about doing that. Always say, yeah, you know what? We're gonna go cross-country in a car. Eventually, we did it. We did do that. That was one thing. I saw his mother and everything coming out here, California. Beautiful weather. A lot of things to do throughout the year. And that was very exciting to me. And then the beach, him hanging up at the beach, going to school here, meeting Allie. I'm telling you, Allie, like the mother said, to me it looks like the whole world has gone blonde or whatever she told him in the restaurant there. Yeah, they picked the right actress for that. But there was, you know, the karate thing itself, the excitement. It was kind of like a Rocky movie with karate. And I know it's the same director. I actually met him, and we talked. We actually talked privately, me and him. And what we discussed, it's not like it's privileged information, but what we discussed was Rocky Balboa, the movie. And he was saying to me, he said to me, you know, I got a call from Stallone. And he told me about the plot and everything, and he said to Stallone, John Alverson, he said, why don't you have Talia Shire playing Adrian at the beginning of the movie, show her die, and then start off the movie. And I said, you know what? I also was thinking that when I was watching the movie, that he should have given Talia Shire, you know, a 5-6 minute scene in the movie, and it would have been a far better emotional movie. And he said exactly goes what I told him over the phone, and he says to me, I don't want to do that. And it never happened that way. But I think that was a missed opportunity. I don't know if Stallone has he's not that good at capturing all the scenes that are necessary for a movie. He left out the Paulie scene because he said it was a downer and then the movie went up. Yeah, that's how it's done. You know, you get a scene that's down and then you have something uplifting. It doesn't confuse people. People are like, I don't get it. I don't get it. There was a depressing scene and now it's going up. For that movie, it would have worked. The scene where Paulie goes in the back alley and he's all bummed out, he's all depressed, that was a good scene. He cut it out. You know, that's why you should not be your own editor. Right? You start second guessing and it doesn't work out. But anyway, I met him and we talked about other things too, but that was one of the main things we spoke about, the Rocky Balboa movie, and how he was a bit disappointed that Stallone didn't take his advice. And I said, yeah, I agree with that. It would have been a better movie. Plus, I had thought of that even before I spoke to him. I said they should have had Talia Shire have a small scene of the movie at the beginning, and then start off the Rocky Balboa movie. Ego, you know, ego got in the way. Probably said that's his idea. I'm not using that. So anyway, yeah. So I went in and I saw that movie that time on that muggy day, and when I walked out, I was transformed. I had taken karate briefly when I was little, and back then, you know, you have a different idea of what it actually is. You think that actually you could fight like that when they show you the tricks. You cannot. You can't do form karate in a real fight. There's no time for that. You know, you'd have to be about 5 or 6 times as fast as your opponent to be able to do all that, you know, go around on the groin, and it doesn't work in a street fight. You have to keep it basic. You know, you have to do basic things in order to be able to get away with it. I mean, if blocks work, the 8 combination block system that a lot of karate people learn, all that. If that worked, every professional boxer, every single one would be blocking that way instead of doing head motions where you slip the punches. They would just be doing this stuff all day in the ring, and the other guy would be saying, "I can't hit him, can't hit him." It's blocking everything, but you can't do it. You just don't have the time. By the time you do this, your opponent is hitting you in the belly. Opponent is busting your ribs up. You do this to block it down here. He's up in your head. There is no time to do all that nonsense. And forms karate, whatever, with the S or without the S, looks great when you're watching it in a movie or when you're watching a demonstration, like, Bruce Lee stuff, where he's like choreographed the fight in a movie or something. It looks awesome. But in real life, you can't do that. It does not work. I know you get the karate people jumping on and say, "Oh yeah, you can do it," but I'll tell you this right now, where I used to go, once a week or whatever, they had real sparring, where they would get the 2 guys, they put them in this, little room, and they put those rubber, I don't know what kind of gloves those were, they could see the hand here, they were kind of foamy on top, and they would fight each other. And back then I used to say, why is it that when they fight like that, they never fight like a karate guy fights, like the stuff they teach you in the other room? Combinations 3 and 4, all that, if they throw a punch, get the elbow, you go behind, you hit them in the... Why don't they do that when they actually fight? You know what they do? They break it down to like boxing. And, boxing with kicks in karate. They get their hands here, they're punching like boxers do. You don't see anything down here. You don't see any of this stuff going on. You don't see any of this stuff going on when they're actually fighting like that. And, as far as the kicks go, they're messy. Because you can't get a good kick off unless it's the element of surprise, where you end up kicking them unexpectedly like that. But how many of those are going to work on you? You can't do like one after the other. Eventually they're going to grab your leg and twist it and throw you down, and you're done. In today's world, the stuff that really works, mixed martial arts, which is a blend of boxing, wrestling, and choking people, or twisting their legs into pretzels until, you're going to snap them in half, and then they tap out. That works. MMA works. It's probably the best form of fighting. But the other stuff, with the knife thing and the blocking and all that does not work in real life. So. But like I said, it looks good. It looks good when they choreograph it. But if you want to teach your kid how to fight, send them to an MMA school. And then, they'll be able to get behind you and choke you if you start disciplining them. Smells really good. Smells like a steakhouse here. And I'm pretty hungry right now. I ate in the morning, but it's not morning anymore. It's getting late in the day. You got people that are dedicated, and I'll say this. If you watch videos of people that are form fighters, the ones that get in there and they got the gi on and everything, versus somebody who's an MMA guy, even a regular boxer, who has less weapons, right? They basically have your fists, where an MMA guy has everything, the whole body. But if you see a regular karate guy from a dojo that does the old-fashioned style fighting, like what they teach at the Shaolin Temple, within 30 seconds, you're going to see that guy knocked out. The MMA guy is going to choke him out. The boxer is going to knock him out, and that's just the way it is. You know. So like I said, if you want to learn good self-defense, MMA. You want to do boxing and learn wrestling, that works. You know, you get on the ground or something. Wrestling is very effective. Greco-Roman wrestling, really good. You want to learn a couple of chokeholds, shut the wind off there, knock them out so you don't have any issues. But the trick is, if you do knock them out, you don't want to leave them on their back and walk away. You want to put them on their side with their arms kind of like that, and their leg one curled like this way so they can't flip back, so they don't choke in case they vomit, or in case something happens to them, they don't, you know, drown on their own vomit like Jimi Hendrix. So yeah, but for the time when that movie came out, everybody was into that karate stuff. By that time, I had moved on from that, and I was no longer interested in that. And the only reason I got interested in it is because of the television show Kung Fu. I originally wanted to say Kung Fu and not karate, only because Master Po and Master Kane taught Kung Fu. But I couldn't find a place near my house that offered Kung Fu. I called the place, it was a castle, some weird location, and they taught Kung Fu, and I was all excited. Oh, I'm going to go there. But then when I realized how far it was, I said, who's going to take me there? That's going to take way too much time back and forth. So then I found a karate place that was about a 12-minute drive from my house. And I ended up going there. But after a while I realized it was not effective fighting. Too many moves, too many steps, and in a real fight, you don't have the time to do all that. In a real fight, you want to choke them out. Choke them out, shut the air off briefly. You don't want to go overboard and you end up in a, you know, prison cell for that. And only for self-defense, right? If you have a real reason, you don't want to go picking on people for no reason. You know, like go to the arcade or something, and you know, they got a bunch of quarters stacked up, and you choke them out because you want your turn to come faster. Funny thing, you know, a lot of these guys that teach karate that way, they're kind of corny. They think they're, I don't know, supernatural or something, you know. But I remember one time there was a serious conversation in the waiting room. They had a room in the front. When you finished, you'd go there, wait for your ride or whatever. And one of the instructors, who was an extra dork, he was being kind of not interviewed, but one of the parents or one of the other students, they were asking him, have you ever had to use it? And he goes, what do you mean? The karate? He goes, yeah. I guess they call it use it. And he goes, thankfully, no, I haven't. He goes, but he goes, if I ever had to, I know that it's there. And now I think about it, and I'm thinking, you know what? Better that you never had to use it, because if you probably had to use it, they'd knock you out. You sitting there with all that. Like I said, I used to watch these guys spar. Not that specific guy, but other guys that were black belts that were students at this place, and when they would spar, they did not do any of that stuff. None of that stuff. You know what they did? They kept their hands here, and they would jab, and they would throw, you know, punches and, you know, body shots and all that, and they would kick. That was it. There was no, you know, none of that nonsense. That's good selling point. You know, you tell people, bring your kid here, and the bully at school will never bother them again. Yeah, they will. With that, yeah, they will. But you choke the bully out, he won't bother you again. In self-defense, not for fun, right? So a little bit longer. But the beer was very good. Very refreshing. I mean, there are certain companies that got perfect formula. They're one, Corona, Red Stripe, Sam Adams. Some people, they don't like the heavier tasting beers. They don't know any better, but, you know, Sam Adams is a good quality beer. That's Stella, good beer. But I've always been impressed with Red Stripe. When I was a kid, I would ride my bike in the summertime through these, like a forest that had trails. It was dark in there. I don't know how I saw to go through there without smashing into a tree like Sonny Bono, you know. But anyway, I would go through there, and in one section of that forest was a little opening that had two logs that were trees that were chopped down, and teenagers on a Friday and Saturday night would sit in there and just drink. And we would go through there, and you'd hear them kind of like, hey, you know, and we'd say, hey. And the next day, I would get up early. I was an early guy, you know. I would go back to that area to ride my bike, and I would look in where the teenagers were sitting, and there would be like, I don't know, 30 or 40 bottles of Miller beer. So there would be like, I don't know, 15 of them sitting there drinking, and the next day you would see Miller. That's all they could get, Miller beer. They like the commercial, if you get the time, Miller's get the beer. And then the other one was, weekends were made for Michelob. I think I had Michelob twice in my life. Well, I don't really have it that often, beer. Once, you know, when you see me on video, it's pretty much, you know, dinner, you know, I can have one. But I don't sit there, you know, all day with the beer, no. Unnecessary. Got to cook the sides a little bit, you know, in case there's a virus or something hanging around. Not a virus, a bacteria is more what I'm worried about. I think viruses hang around on steaks, but bacteria, especially the outside. The inside is safe, but the outside, got to cook it. My father one time was fixing some old lady's kitchen there. He was doing some work there, and the floor, he was fixing it, and he stepped on a nail, went right through his foot. And then he took off his shoe, he took his hammer and the handle, and he started hitting his foot underneath, and there was blood coming out the hole. And my father was explaining to me, I was little, but I remember, he said, you got to get the bad blood out. And then he turned over to the lady, and he says, you have a pan? He goes, and some olive oil. So she brought out a really nice pan, big one, and put about a half-inch of olive oil in there. And she put it on the fire and heated it up. And my father put his foot in there. He said, that'll sterilize. So, I mean, I don't think it was hot, like boiling hot, but it was hot. He put his foot in there. These are the tricks on how not to get an infection. Although, you know, if you did step on a nail that was, well, like a rusty nail that had what's that thing that they tell you to be TB, tuberculosis, right? That olive oil remedy will not work because the bacteria is already inside you. At that point, it's too late. Maybe if you have a superficial scratch, maybe. But even that, who knows? So the outside has a pretty good crust. Whole neighborhood can smell this, especially when you cook fish or onions or garlic. Sometimes I'm out here late at night and somebody's cooking something. They're hungry, they got up, maybe the wife kicked them out the room and they're on the couch and they got hungry. And you'll smell some kind of garlic or onion stuff. You know, with oil, it jumps all over the place. Very annoying. These are wooden. I like it better, you know, than the metal. Metal scratches everything up, so I use the wooden one. I think it looks pretty done. Give it a minute there. It's got a good crust though. I give that a 9 out of 9. 9 out of 9. He's like, I'm Allie with an eye, she says to Daniel when they were on the beach. Leave Krill, and I go there quite often. I always think of that in the movie Grease. That's where they shot the opening scene for the movie Grease. And then she says, it's Allie with an eye. And then he thinks about it, and he's got to come back with something clever. And he says, I'm Daniel with L. There's an L in the Daniel. And then he became Daniel's son. I don't know if that's a common thing with Japanese people or people from Okinawa. They add son at the end of your name. Daniel's son. Alright, we're done. That's enough. I don't want to splash. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. I don't know if you can see, but I don't want to lose the food, but it's going to slide. Alright, I'll be back in a flash. Alright, I am back. I let it rest for a little bit. And now we're going to try it out. Delicious. Cut off some of the fat here. That looks about medium, right? Wow. So good. All right. It's like from the steakhouse. It's got that steakhouse flavor, which really good. Wow. Ribeye. Leeks. Cut off the edges. Very juicy. Anyway, I'm gonna eat and then, you know, do the dishes. Capiche? All right. That is it for now. Ciao.